Hey, today I'm going to show you how to make something really simple and really fun for your kids' lunchbox. So ordinarily I would say wash all your fabric before you do a project just because it'll allow for shrinkage, but the project we're making today, it doesn't really matter. The project we're actually making are reusable napkins for your kids' lunchboxes. So they're a really great way for kids to kind of have something fun in their lunchboxes, and it's a nice way to kind of release your carbon footprint. Less paper, less waste, less wet napkins coming home in the lunchbox that are shredded to pieces. These will be really durable and they'll hold up in the washing machine. Just throw in them with towels and you're all set. But the first step you're gonna do is cut out your fabric. Now when I did it, I took just a regular napkin like this from the lunchboxes that I normally use, and I just cut the fabric to kind of that size. I obviously did mine a lot bigger because, like I said, I didn't wash this fabric ahead of time, and so there will be a little bit of shrinkage in the washing machine after you sew it together. And also I wanted to allow for a seam allowance. These don't have to be exact, which is why they're a great beginner project, and you're just sewing in a square. So easy peasy. You're gonna cut 2 pieces of fabric like so. If you are a beginner, this is considered the right side of the fabric and this is considered the wrong side. So the right side is the facing up, or the side you want facing up. So we're gonna lay both of these fabrics together with the right sides facing. So you will have 2 sides facing on the inside, and then the outside will be the wrong side. Okay, because we're gonna sew these inside out and then we'll pull them out and go from there. So if you'd like, you can go ahead and pin them. You just stick the sides together and stick a pin like that, and you can do it all the way around. But like I said, these aren't super exact, so don't stress yourself out about pinning if you don't feel you need to. The other thing you can do to make them lay flat is to iron them ahead of time so that they are nice and flat. So once you have them pieced together correctly, you'll go ahead and put them into your sewing machine and you'll sew. Start your stitch in the middle of one side of the piece. Continue along the edges, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance. When you get to the side where you began, stop your stitch about 2 inches from where you started, leaving a hole so you can turn your fabric right side out. So now we have our piece sewn, and if you remember, we left that little hole in the bottom. This is where it comes in handy when we're going to flip it inside out. But before we do that, it's very important, these little corners right here, in any project you do where you're flipping something inside out, whether it's a pillowcase or you know, anything like that, you will want to clip the edges. And if you look, you can see where the thread has gone through on the bottom. And this will also show you that it doesn't matter when you're doing the inside what color thread you use, because I forgot to load in my white thread, which I have a ton of, and I left in the different color thread. So it doesn't matter because you're not gonna see the inside. So you clip off these corners so that when you turn it, like so, you open these little holes and you just push everything through. Trust your stitch, it will be okay. I know the first couple times I turned something inside out, I was thinking that, oh my gosh, the stitches aren't gonna hold up, but they do. And you just go like that and it's kind of fun. Then take a paintbrush, a toothpick, or not toothpick, chopstick, whatever you like. But I like this paintbrush because it has a rounded edge. And you just stick it up through there and you kind of open up and you push the corners out. And that's what's gonna give you that tight corner on the end where it's pointy. If you don't do that, I'll show you. If I don't do that, it's gonna be kind of flat on the top. But if you notice, this corner is a lot different. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this last corner here, and then you're set. So the next step is you're gonna take this, see how it's a little bit wrinkly? I like to iron it. It gives you a nice pressed finished look, and that way you can iron these edges that are kind of wrinkly. You're gonna iron it down here so that you can sew it shut and it'll lay flatter for you as it goes through the machine. So through the magic of editing, we have now ironed our napkin. It still has a little bitty hole in it. See, ironed it so well I can't even tell where the hole is. Here it is. Okay, so it still has this hole in it. Now, what we're gonna do, if you can see this, I made sure to iron this really flat here. But what we're gonna wanna do is make sure that when we sew across the edge of this, we're actually gonna do what's called a top seam for those of you that are beginners. And that just means we're gonna sew all the way around this. It gives it a little bit more of a finished look, and it keeps it from like getting all wonky out of shape and stuff. And the other bonus to it is it's gonna close off that hole that we've created. Okay, so this is what I was talking about here. You can see that this is where the hole is. You wanna make sure that you're gonna sew onto that part. So when you set your machine up, you wanna make sure that you've got your line where your needle is going, and it's gonna be right around this edge here, so that if it's over here, I can feel the fabric ends here. So you just wanna be here, so it closes. You're gonna wanna make sure that you backstitch a couple times after you sew a couple times. So you're gonna stitch, 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 and then you should have a button where or something on your machine that's a backstitch. So you wanna backstitch it, so that just seals up where you were. And mine I just do it like twice. So that way those stitches lock together and you won't have it come apart. So I'm doing this relatively quickly because, like I said, it's just a napkin. And you'll be able to see just how fast this project is. And if you're a beginner, you want to probably take your stitches a little bit slower. Just so that you can guide it straight, as straight as possible. And I have my stitch settings to, I have a baby lock machine, so my stitches are set at 3. Remember, when you get to the end, you'll want to hit your backstitch button one more time to lock in your stitch. Okay, so if you look closely, these all have been stitched all the way around. But if you notice, there's lots of little strings hanging off. That's where your stitches began and ended. So all you need to do is take a seam ripper, like so, and you're just gonna take these little loose strings and just gently tug them off. And because you locked that stitch, it won't be a problem. It's not gonna come apart. These stitches are locked in place. And that's it. That's all there is to it. You sit down at your sewing machine. In 30 minutes, you can have something cut and sewn that you've made. And if you are not new to sewing, you could probably do it in like 5 or 10 minutes. But anyway, this is your go-to beginning of the school year or middle of the school year. You can do holiday napkins, anything you want. But that's all there is to it. I hope you'd enjoyed, and thanks for watching.